Yeah, I got new dry erase boards. We're actually gonna be unboxing our first dry erase board. How do I? You guys may have heard me talk about getting these fancy glass dry erase boards. Yeah, I did some pros and cons of having glass. Pro, they look really nice. Con, they're really heavy. Pro, they look really nice. Con, they're not going to be magnetized, so this whole like green screen thing just has magnets on it. Almost there. Almost there. Boom. Unboxed. What is going on, guys? So today we are back with another video. Today we're actually doing a versus video, as you could probably tell by the title and holy cow. Hang on just a second. You guys probably, well, I'll give you guys some credit. You probably can see there's something wrong. There we go. That looks a whole lot better. Anyways, so today we are going over Slowpoke versus Slowbro. Actually trying to compare these two Pokemon to try to figure out possibly which one works better for you. It's kind of hard to say like which one is better, because I think any Pokemon technically should have a place on any team. And just because it's really, really good here, but not as good in another spot, doesn't mean that it's always going to be better for every single team. Anyways, let's start today with going over a few base stats and then our movesets that we're actually going to go over here. So our base stats for Slowpoke are going to be 109 on attack, 98 on defense, and a 207 on stamina. While for Slowbro, we have a 177 on attack, 180 on defense, and 216 for stamina. So, I mean, base stats definitely lean towards Slowbro here, and you can kind of see the way that it works out. Slowpoke 30th in bulk and 84th in stat product versus 18th in bulk for Slowbro and 15th in stat product. You can definitely tell that Slowbro definitely has the bulk and the stats to back up a lot more than Slowpoke does. And really fast, I guarantee you guys can hear it. The rain is just downpouring onto my house. So I'm very sorry if there's some background noise in this video, because there's usually not. Because it's usually not raining here, but it's supposed to rain for like 6 days straight. Now, as far as our actual movesets that we're going to be going with today, we do have Slowpoke with Confusion, Water Pulse, and Psyshock. Now, I have done a deep dive on Slowpoke already, and if you guys want some more detailed information on Slowpoke, I'd highly encourage you to go check out that deep dive, because I go over a lot more about Slowpoke than I will in this video in general. But that's going to be our moveset for today. I'll tell you how I set that up here after we talk about Slowbro. So Slowbro has Confusion, Psychic, and Ice Beam. I know. So at first, I tried to have very similar movesets. Confusion, Water Pulse, and Psyshock on Slowpoke, while trying to actually have Confusion, Water Pulse, and Ice Beam on Slowbro. But then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I was like, it probably isn't the best way to just go about it, trying to make them play similar roles. We should probably give them their best tools and then see which one does better after that. So here's how I determined which moveset to use. I basically put our Slowpoke and our Slowbro up against the entire Rainbow Cup meta, which if you've seen the deep dives, you know how that goes. Basically, I took the moveset that wins the most against the meta and then compared the two Pokemon like that. So what this does is it actually gives us a nice spread, and both Pokemon are relatively close in performance, but I wanted to actually give both Pokemon their best moveset up against the meta to kind of let you guys know which Pokemon you should really choose, because that's kind of what this is all about. So let's actually switch into this meta here. So how we're actually going to be handling this today is we're actually going to be taking a look at each individual matchup between the two Pokemon versus each of the individual meta Pokemon from PvPoke. Alright, as with everything in my life, I'm actually going to put everything into a spreadsheet just like I always do. And I'm actually going to pretty much just show this up here so you guys can see this. But basically, with some magic tricks here and there, some snapping and some wand waving, I've basically took all of the battle ratings from PvPoke up against each meta Pokemon with each of our contestants, Slowpoke and Slowbro, and kind of put them into this spreadsheet form so that we can compare the two. Now at the top you can see that we do have Azumarill as our first matchup going up against Slowbro in that first column and then Slowpoke in the final column. And then you can see the Azumarill actually has Bubble, Ice Beam, and Play Rough. So I'm not going to go over like movesets every single time. These are the general movesets that PvPoke has considered the like end-all be-all meta choice. Now there's a ton of different variants that you can obviously run. Funny story, my original video today was going to be a video on like all of the poison typings. Like almost like a versus of who is the #1 poison typing. Anyways, that video was gonna basically be comparing a ton of Razor Leaf versus Vine Whip and a bunch of like same Pokemon, different movesets, which, come to think about it, that would actually be a really cool video. What if I like deep dive into Quagsire, Acid Spray versus Sludge Bomb versus Earthquake? Ooh, write that down. Somebody, my secretary, wherever you are, please write that down. Thank you. Alright, so let's finally get started here. So the Azumarill matchup, as you can see, Slowbro is a 592 on the battle rating, while Slowpoke is only a 438. So if you don't know how PvPoke's battle ratings work, basically if you're above 500, that means that you actually win the match. If you're below 500, that means you lose. So, gotta give this point to Slowbro here. Next is Beedrill with a battle rating up against Slowbro as 783 with a Slowpoke of 520. So, yeah, gonna give this one to Slowbro here. Our next matchup is the Blastoise with a 576 on the Slowbro, but Slowpoke actually ends up getting this one with a 640. Next is Charizard here with a 560 on Slowbro, but a 542 on Slowpoke. So Slowbro gets that one. Next up against the Executor, we do actually lose in both of those. So, let's actually move to a red marker here. Now, which one has a better chance? Actually looks like up against the Slowbro, actually we do have a better chance. So even though that we lose, we would do better if we had Slowbro in that scenario. Next up against the Fortress, we are losing in both scenarios here, but the Slowpoke actually ends up doing better in the Fortress matchup. Next in the Kingdra matchup, we do have 2 wins, and actually Slowpoke ends up winning that one, so very interesting. Next we have the Lantern, which we are both losing, but Slowpoke actually ends up coming out with a higher battle rating, so gonna give that one to Slowpoke here as well. Next we have the Lapras, which we are winning on both Pokemon there, but Slowbro's actually doing a little bit better on the Lapras. Next we have Macargo. Interestingly, Slowbro is actually going to tie up against the Macargo, but Slowpoke actually can take that one, so gotta give that one to Slowpoke. Next we have the Magneton. Oh, that was pretty rough on both of those, but yeah, it does look like Slowbro's actually just inching out ahead of Slowpoke here, so Magneton. Now up against the Mantine, we are winning with both Pokemon, but it does look like Slowpoke just barely beats the Slowbro there. Then we actually have the Meganium, which we are losing in both of those, but Slowbro actually comes out with a better battle rating there. Then we have the Ninetales, which we do win in both, but Slowpoke actually has a better matchup up against Ninetales. Then we have the Amistar, which interestingly Slowpoke is tying up against the Amistar while Slowbro actually wins, so this one goes to Slowbro. Then we have the Quagsire, which we are losing in both of those, although the Slowbro actually ends up with a better battle rating there, so let's go Quagsire here. Then we have our Raichu, which is a loss for both, but you can see that Slowpoke with a 331 just barely inches out above the Slowbro. Then we have our Raikou, which is a tie. Not a tie that we actually would both be fainting, but a tie that it's the exact same battle rating. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to pop out this little section here. And hopefully this looks good up there. I have no idea if this is going to look good or not. So we're going to go to the Raikou here. We do win with 17 energy remaining. 39 energy. I mean, there's no like benefit to that. There's nothing like crazy. So we're actually just gonna put Raikou way down here at the bottom. It is a loss for both Pokemon. Same situation for both of them, so we'll just keep it at that. Next we do have the Slowbro and the Slowpoke. This one's kind of hard to quantify here. The Slowbro of course is going to tie up against itself, while the Slowpoke of course is going to tie up against itself. But I guess there's something to be said that like Slowpoke can't beat Slowbro, so I guess there's that. Then we actually move into the Typhlosion, and as you can see, Slowbro actually ties up against that Typhlosion, where Slowpoke actually ends up flat out losing. So let's give this one a loss, but at least it does better than our Slowpoke there. Next we have Venomoth, which is a win for both Pokemon, which is great, but it looks like Slowbro's actually going to be doing better. Then we have our Venusaur, which we are both winning, which is great, but it does also look like Slowbro is better there again. Holy cow, I'm running out of space. And our last Pokemon is Victreebel, which Slowbro ends up tying up against, but Slowpoke actually flat out loses. So let's go Victreebel here. Here's what I think you guys can benefit off of this good old whiteboard here. Everything that you see up here is going to be the matchup that Slowbro does better in. Whether it's a win in green or a loss in red, Slowbro will do better than Slowpoke in all of these scenarios. Now what that actually means, and what I hope you guys will take away from this, is that if your team is scared of these Pokemon, then Slowbro makes way more sense for you to invest in. Whereas if your team is afraid of these Pokemon, then Slowpoke would be better to invest in. They are, even though Slowbro is objectively going to win more and do better up against more of the relevant Pokemon this month, Slowpoke still has this niche up against these Pokemon. So, while Slowbro definitely will be better generally, Slowpoke does have its place. This is a two-parter kind of video. Now, I originally said in the deep dive that we did on Friday that this was going to be like a two-part series. I was totally like, remember I said that I was going to be working on like all the poison types? Yeah, I was going to do like all of the poison types and then all of the confusion users in a like two-part video. But it didn't really like pan out. Like I did a whole bunch of research, which I'll show you guys really fast. Like I was comparing like moves, and I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like trying to like figure out how exactly I wanted all that to work, and it just didn't really like pan out. So if you want to think of this as a two-part type video, I do plan on extending this idea and actually comparing Executor and Execute tomorrow. So what we'll actually be doing is we'll be taking both of those, doing this similar style video where we go over a few stats, how they kind of compare on a stat spread, and then we'll actually do this kind of same style video where these are the Pokemon. If you need coverage for these, you're gonna need one Pokemon, versus if you need coverage for the other set, then you're gonna go for that. I'll put the whiteboards up Monday. We'll start doing that Monday. and it'll be at a wider shot too. So like I plan on giving myself a little bit more room than just like this 5 inches that's between these two boards, so that like when I'm standing here, I don't actually cover up as much of my material as I think I probably do. But anyways, that is actually gonna be it for today, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember that if you like to like videos, you can do that, but if you don't, you can be that guy. Otherwise, let me know what you have to say down in the comments below, and until our next video, I will catch you then.